White space, or sometimes called negative space, is the space between the elements of a page or graphic. White space is by no means an unnecessary space left open between the elements. Rather, it is a very important aspect of design with great benefits when properly made use of. Here's a sample of a block designed with some graphic, title, and text. It appears unsorted, even sloppy, without any attention paid to the space between elements. I have rearranged this in two different ways in the following pictures. Both appear more sorted compared to the original graphic, but they have quite different moods. Carefully compare the two graphics. Graphic A has a tighter spacing between the pictures and texts. On the contrary, spacing in graphic B is wider. Since graphic A is more tightly arranged overall, it appears more condensed with more information, like the pages of a newspaper. On the other hand, graphic B appears more spacious and elegant, like a brand's website. As we can see, even if you're arranging the same elements, how you make use of white space can affect the user's impression. White space is not put to use merely by sense. The red circles that appear in the graphic share the same size. Here, I have treated the chunk of information placed inside each area as a group and evenly spaced the groups. By visually grouping the chunks of information, the viewer can easily identify these as individual groups. The spacing between the picture, title, and text are even, and are said to be tighter than the space outside of the area. This way of spacing helps the viewer recognize the information as separate blocks that have different significances. The spacing is tighter inside each block because the different information together form a group. When considering how to divide information into blocks, consider the substance of each information and how each correlates to one another, and then set the spacing. Here, the picture and the text are supplementary and explaining the title, so the spacing between the title and the two are equal. By placing elements that are strongly related to each other closer, and those that are less related farther, intentions are better conveyed to the viewer. By making good use of white space, you can differentiate groups without using lines or enclosures. I have used enclosures as an example. This may be easier to see without the enclosures. It is very important to sort the contents using white space, but it is not always the best thing to just make things uniform. Sometimes, intentionally putting something into disorder can be an eye catch or make things interesting. Nonetheless, without mastering the basics, it is difficult to decide where and how to put things into disorder, and end up with a total mess. Always keep in mind and practice to make better use of white space.